President Biden receiving fierce backlash from both parties after the deadly attack in Kabul yesterday that left 13 U.S. service members dead and over 160 Afghans dead as well. Joining us now to discuss the criticism, Fox News contributors Jason Chaffetz and Liz Peek. Good to see you both. Jason, there is actually a growing list of congressmen and senators who are calling for President Biden's resignation or impeachment. Does this go anywhere?
I think it has to. I think that the country is irate. I think the president told us about less than 50 days ago that this would not happen. He said he planned for every contingency, that the chaos was built into this. And now you have 13 of America's best in the military that are dead. There are going to be an untold number of people left behind. The president doesn't have a plan. His plan thus far has cost American lives. And I think there are going to be people on both sides of the aisle that are going to call for the president's resignation. And I think there will be those that will attempt to impeach him, even though the Democrats have both sides of the chamber, both the Senate and the House.
But Liz, you know, the administration thinks they have time to wait it out before the next. I know they would never say that publicly, but this is what we're hearing, that in fact they think by the time 2022 comes around, and certainly 2024, this will be a distant memory in the minds of voters. I really don't think so. If that's their calculation, I think they're making a huge mistake. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%, David. Americans are not going to forget this. And by the way, the final chapter has not been written. This could go on for months with horrifying stories and videos of people being hunted down by the Taliban or ISIS or whoever and killed. And this is all on Joe Biden. But here's frankly, I find that whole political calculus that Americans are going to lose interest unbelievably offensive after the terrible losses that we've had. Here's the real problem for Democrats. Joe Biden resigns. Who moves into the Oval Office? Kamala Harris. And Democrats are finding out that she is a terrible candidate. She's not a leader. People don't like her. Her approval ratings are terrible. So there's no political exit strategy here, David. I mean, you know, at best, the administration will sort of stabilize. At best, COVID gets somewhat better. But this is an unbelievable stain on this administration.
Yeah. Jason, I don't want to scare folks out there unnecessarily. There's enough facts on the ground to already do that. But there's another side to this. And we're hearing from a pilot who actually flew one of the planes from Kuwait to Dulles with hundreds of refugees on board. He said, as far as vetting, we could not get off the plane in Dulles for 6 hours. The Border Patrol told us they were vetting them while they held them on plane. And then he said, we started the flight thinking we were doing good. But by the time we deplaned, we could have been bringing back some really bad guys. Now, is it conceivable that in this very chaotic, quick evacuation of so many thousands of people, of course, the White House has been bragging about it, but if they're not properly vetted, could we be letting some of the bad guys into our country?
I think this is the bigger, broader problem for the Biden-Harris administration. They haven't been able to figure out how to secure Portland or Chicago, let alone Kabul. They haven't been able to figure out how to secure our southern border, let alone these plane loads of people that are coming in. And these are people that need vetting. They're people that don't know their birthday. There are illiterate people that don't know how to spell their name or fill out a basic form. I don't want to be derogatory, but I've been there. I've been to Afghanistan a couple of times. This is one of the fundamental problems and challenges. So again, it is across the board for Biden and Harris. The entire arena of safety, security, law and order. Yeah. This is not the strong suit of the Democrats, and it's going to play itself out internationally, our southern border, and in our own backyard in these Democratic-run cities.
Well, let's talk about the southern border, but I should mention, Liz, that there was an interpreter who we know at Fox News who was on the phone with us saying, and he was kicked out of the Kabul airport because of a mix-up. He deserved to be flying out of there, but he said that there are a lot of people who don't deserve to be there, who've sort of talked their way onto the plane in the midst of all this chaos. But the question is, as Jason was saying, we've got a southern border that is essentially open. We do have the courts forcing the Biden administration to reinstate the stay in Mexico policy, but now Mexico says it can't help the United States with migrants forever, particularly if some of those migrants might actually be coming from the Middle East and can't properly be vetted.
Yeah, and we know that people from all over the world have been coming into our country illegally this year across the southern border. It is certainly not just Mexicans or people from the Northern Triangle, but also Mexico is saying, you know, we have to go to the root causes. We've got to solve the root causes. This is such a ludicrous assumption. I'm sorry, but 2 of those 3 Northern Triangle countries are amongst the most corrupt. They're ranked most corrupt in the entire world. What are we going to do? Take a lot of money down there and throw it around and assume that that's going to check the migration north? It will not. This is all about securing our border. We're never even talking anymore about securing our border.
No.
Look, President Trump had this right, and it is appalling that Joe Biden, in this sort of puffery of his imagination, where he's going to best Donald Trump by overturning everything he did, except, by the way, the exit from Afghanistan, decided that he would undo what we did at the border. It's offensive. And I think the Democrats, that's probably a bigger threat to them politically than anything else right now.
Right now. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Liz, Jason, good to see you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.